Hello, my name is George Aguilar, and today we'll be discussing some of the troubleshooting procedures on a Cla-Val model 90-01 pressure reducing valve. Now, today's discussion is intended to provide you a basic overview of some of the problems that you may encounter out in the field. Now, each system is different with its own hydraulic characteristics, and that should be taken into consideration when diagnosing the problem. For literature pertaining to our model 90-01, please visit our website. Let's get started. So when first troubleshooting a 90-01, one of the first things that you need to verify is that you have enough adequate inlet pressure. If your inlet pressure drops below your outlet pressure, your valve may be going in reverse flow. So once you verified that your inlet pressure is above your outlet pressure and that you have enough adequate inlet pressure, second, we're going to check our ball valves. So in this valve that we have here, we have an inlet ball valve, we have a ball valve on the cover, and we have a ball valve on the downstream side. We need to verify that all of these ball valves are in the open position so that we're both getting water on and off the cover. Once you verify that the ball valves are all in the open position, we'll check our speed control. Our speed control here, it's smart to start with the speed control backed all the way out. Your speed controls could be causing restriction of water flowing on and off the cover, so we're going to back our speed control out and go on to the next step. So first, we will verify the operation of the CRD using one of two methods. The first method would be to verify the adjustment on the CRD. So to verify the adjustment of the CRD, we're going to back off the cover here. We're going to loosen this jam nut. And you want to adjust the CRD adjustment screw counterclockwise. Counterclockwise, maybe a half turn or so, will decrease your downstream pressure. Once you've verified, or if you have verified that your downstream pressure is dropping, then you have confirmed that the CRD is operational. Another method of verifying that the CRD is operational is using a gauge assembly. Now, this downstream port here is common with this downstream sensing line. So what we'll do is we'll close the downstream ball valve. By closing the downstream ball valve, we've backed up water from the cover, has nowhere to go. It backs up onto the cover and the main valve is going to close. Now that the main valve is closed, we're going to close the ball valve on the cover and close the ball valve on the inlet. By closing these ball valves, you've isolated the pilot system and you've confirmed that the main valve is closed. So now we can take this body plug here on the CRD and we remove this body plug and you install a gauge assembly similar to this here. So you have a nipple, a T, and a ball valve on the downstream side of this gauge assembly. So what we'll do is we will thread this gauge assembly into this body port here. By installing this gauge assembly, we will close this ball valve, and now we're going to open up the inlet ball valve. Opening up the inlet ball valve will bring water pressure to the CRD, and this gauge assembly will go to the current setting of our CRD. So now what we'll do is we will open up the ball valve slightly, not all the way, just to get a slight squirt of water out of this ball valve or this gauge assembly, and you can adjust your CRD. You'll adjust your CRD, and by adjusting that CRD, you'll see your gauge go to that current setting, either up or down. Once you've confirmed that, we'll close the inlet, relieve the pressure in the pilot system, remove that gauge assembly, replace the body plug on the CRD, place the cover on the CRD, and you're good to go. Now, if you find that the CRD is operational and that it works, or if you found that the CRD is not operating or regulating pressure or changing pressure, please refer to our CRD operation and maintenance video. So now, if you have found that the CRD is regulating properly, the next step is to diagnose if the main valve is regulating to the current CRD set point. If the main valve is consistently regulating below the CRD set point, this would indicate that we are not getting enough water off the cover or that there is some type of restriction within the main valve. If this is the case, there are two likely culprits, either the restriction fitting, which is right here, or there is some type of obstruction within the main valve. So to evaluate any issues within the pilotry, we're going to need to isolate the pilot system itself. So just as we did before when checking the CRD, we're going to start with the downstream ball valve first. So we're going to close the downstream ball valve, water onto the cover. We're going to isolate or close the inlet or the cover ball valve, and now close the inlet. So again, by doing that, we've isolated the pilot system and we've also locked the position of the main valve. So, as I previously said, the most common issue with the valve failing to regulate is this restriction fitting here. Now, there are two sizes of restriction fittings. They're marked by either a red or a blue dye, and it will always be before the cover connection. So in this case here, we're going to have our restrictor fitting. Now, in order to inspect that restrictor fitting, of course, we have the pilot system isolated. We're going to loosen our tubing so we can inspect this restriction fitting. Now, over time, continuous wear through the restrictor fitting will cause it to either wear out, as you see in these samples here, or continuous wear will cause that restriction fitting to get into a larger orifice. There are certain colors, certain sizes, either the red or blue, for specific size valves. So, at this point, once you've inspected the restrictor fitting and you have found that it's clear of any type of debris or any type of additional wear, the next likely cause would be within the main valve. For any additional information, please visit our website regarding the maintenance and operation of our main valve or the hydrol. Now we're going to review the main valve failing to regulate down to the CRD set point. This would mean that we're not getting enough water onto the cover of the main valve. So as before, if we follow the initial path of flow through our pilot system, the first part that can cause any type of obstruction in this case is going to be our strainer. So the strainer that's installed in this model here, or this cutaway that I'm using, is this type of strainer. This is an inline self-cleaning strainer. It's our model X46. The other type of strainer would be a Y strainer, as you see here. This Y strainer is going to be installed in some type of fashion in this pilot system here before that restriction fitting. Now, to verify that the strainer is clear and that we're getting water through our pilot system, again, we have all of our ball valves closed still from the previous test that we just did. We're going to loosen the fitting just after the restriction fitting, or just after the strainer, before the restriction fitting. Now that you've loosened that up, we're going to open up our inlet ball valve, which is our high pressure side, and we're going to verify that we have a steady flow of water. If you've confirmed that you have a steady flow of water and you're clear of any debris in your strainer, we'll close that ball valve back up, connect our tubing. So now, after inspection of the strainer, we've inspected the restriction fitting and the operation of the CRD. If you have found that the valve is still failing to regulate, as mentioned before, please refer to the operation and maintenance of the hydrol. In addition to troubleshooting your valve or finding that it still fails to regulate, another issue here is air. As your system's running, air continues to build in the system. When it comes to your valve, your pressure reducing valve here, air is always going to work its way to the highest points. So in this case here, you have the X101 position indicator, and you also have your pilot system. So we're going to open up our inlet, and we're going to make sure that water is getting onto the cover. We're going to open up the cover, and we're going to bleed the air out of the main valve. So in this case here, we're going to back out the X101 until you have a steady stream of water. If you don't have an X101, you'll have a plug similar to this. Make sure that you don't take that plug completely out, as it's fully pressurized with your inlet pressure here. So just back your plug out a couple of turns until you see a steady stream of water. In this case here in our pilot system, you're going to break your fittings loose, either here, or this case. This is the one that happens to be loose. A couple of threads off. Loosen that until you have a steady stream of water. We'll close that back together. Open up our downstream ball valve, and we're ready to go. This concludes the troubleshooting of our Cla-Val 90-01 pressure reducing valve. For any additional information, please visit our website. Thank you for watching.